The house was quiet. Too quiet. The clock on the kitchen wall ticked slowly, each sound loud in the silence. Outside, the streetlight flickered, throwing weak yellow light through the window. Inside the house, Emma Carter sat alone at the kitchen table, holding a warm cup of tea with both hands. She had just finished cleaning the dishes. It was almost midnight. Her husband, Daniel, had come home late again. He said nothing when he walked in. No smile, no grating, just the sound of his shoes on the floor and the soft click of the door closing behind him. Emma thought it was another long day at work. She took a small sip of her tea. It tasted normal, a little bitter like always. Behind her, Daniel stood very still. Emma did not hear him move closer. She did not hear his footsteps. She only felt his presence when a shadow fell across the table. "Daniel," she said calmly, "you scared me." He did not answer. She turned her head slightly, expecting to see him smiling or joking. Instead, she saw his face reflected in the dark window. His skin looked pale. His eyes were wide, fixed on her like he was afraid. Before she could speak again, Daniel leaned down close to her ear. His voice was low, quiet, almost gentle. "I poisoned you." Emma laughed. It came out fast and light, the kind of laugh people use when they think someone is joking. "That's not funny," she said, shaking her head. "What's wrong with you?" Daniel did not laugh back. He stayed close, his breath warm against her skin. "I'm serious," he whispered. "You have about 30 minutes." The smile slowly disappeared from Emma's face. She turned fully in her chair and looked up at him. "Daniel, stop! This isn't funny." His hands were shaking. She could see it now. His fingers were tight, like he was holding something invisible. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't want it this way." Emma stood up so fast her chair fell backward. "What are you talking about?" she asked. Her heart started to beat harder. "Did you put something in my tea?" Daniel looked at the cup, then looked away. He did not answer. Instead, he stepped back and walked toward the hallway. His steps were slow, heavy, like each one hurt. Before disappearing into the bedroom, he stopped. 30 minutes, he said again. Then he was gone. Emma stood frozen in the kitchen. The silence returned, thicker than before. She stared at the cup of tea on the table. The steam was fading now. Her hands felt cold. "This is stupid," she told herself. "He's tired. He's messing with me." She lifted the cup and smelled it. Nothing strange. She walked to the sink and poured the rest down the drain. The liquid disappeared in seconds. "There," she said out loud. "Problem solved." She tried to laugh again, but the sound felt wrong. Emma looked at the clock. 12:04 a.m. She told herself to relax. She walked to the living room and sat on the couch. She turned on the TV, but did not really watch it. Her eyes kept moving back to the hallway, waiting for Daniel to come out and say he was joking. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Emma started to feel warm. Not like a fever, more like heat spreading under her skin. She touched her face. It felt flushed. Her heart beat faster. "You're fine," she whispered. "You're just scared." She stood up, but the room felt different. The floor seemed to tilt slightly. She grabbed the back of the couch to steady herself. Her stomach twisted. Emma looked at the clock again. 12:17 a.m. Her mouth felt dry. Her hands felt weak. A strange pressure formed behind her eyes. Fear crept in slowly, like a cold shadow. What if he wasn't joking, she thought. She walked toward the bedroom. "Daniel," she called. No answer. She knocked on the door. It was locked. "Daniel, open the door," she said, her voice shaking now. Still nothing. She leaned against the wall, breathing hard. Her legs felt heavy, like they did not belong to her anymore. Another wave of dizziness hit. Emma slid down to the floor. Her vision blurred. The edges of the room grew dark. She crawled back toward the kitchen, pulling herself forward with weak arms. Her phone was on the table, just a few feet away. She reached for it. Her fingers missed. The clock ticked loudly above her. 12:29 a.m. Her chest felt tight. Each breath was harder than the last. "Please," she whispered, not sure to who she was talking to. Her phone buzzed. A message appeared on the screen. "Daniel, I'm sorry." Emma's hand shook as she tried to pick up the phone again. The room spun. Her body finally gave up. As the clock clicked to 12:30 a.m., Emma collapsed onto the kitchen floor, her eyes staring at the ceiling, her breath shallow and weak. And in the quiet house, the truth waited to be discovered. Darkness wrapped around the house like a heavy blanket. Emma did not know how long she stayed on the kitchen floor. Time felt broken. Her thoughts came and went in pieces, like waves crashing and pulling back. Her body felt distant, like it belonged to someone else. Somewhere far away, a sound echoed. A voice. Then nothing. The story shifts back, 1 week ago. At that time, Emma Carter believed her life was normal. She and Daniel had been married for 5 years. They lived in a small, quiet neighborhood where nothing seemed to ever happen, the kind of place where people waved from their driveways and walked their dogs at the same time every evening. Emma worked from home as a freelance editor. Daniel worked in sales. They did not have children yet, but they talked about it often. From the outside, they looked happy, but small cracks had started to form. Daniel had changed. At first, it was little things. He stopped eating dinner with her. He kept his phone face down on the table. When Emma asked how his day was, he answered with one word: fine. Busy. Tired. One night, Emma noticed Daniel washing his hands again and again in the bathroom. When she asked what was wrong, he snapped at her. Nothing, he said sharply. Just leave it. That wasn't like him. Another night, Emma woke up and found his side of the bed empty. She heard him in the living room, pacing back and forth. When she asked if everything was okay, he forced a smile. Go back to sleep, he said. I just couldn't rest. Emma tried to believe him, but her instincts whispered that something was wrong. 3 days before the night in the kitchen, Emma came home early from grocery shopping. As she opened the front door, she heard Daniel's voice inside. He was not alone. He was on the phone, speaking fast and low. I told you I'd handle it. Just give me time. Emma froze. She did not move. She did not breathe. There was a pause. Then Daniel spoke again, his voice shaking. No, please. She doesn't know anything. Emma's heart dropped. She stepped back quietly and left the house, did not tell him she heard anything. She told herself she imagined it. That night, Daniel barely touched his food. His eyes were red like he hadn't slept. When Emma reached for his hand, he pulled away. I love you, she said softly. Daniel nodded, but he did not say it back. The next day, Emma noticed something else. Daniel brought home a small brown paper bag. He placed it carefully in the kitchen cabinet behind the spices. When Emma asked what it was, he hesitated. Just vitamins, doctor stuff. Emma did not believe him, but she said nothing. On the day it happened, Daniel woke up early. He kissed Emma's forehead and told her he would be home late. Don't wait up, he said. Emma spent the day distracted. She kept thinking about the phone call, the paper bag, his strange behavior. That evening, she made dinner. She waited. 9 o'clock passed, then 10. At 11:45 p.m., Daniel finally walked in. He looked like a man who had run a long race and lost. I made tea, Emma said, trying to sound normal. Chamomile, your favorite. Daniel's eyes moved to the cup, just for a second, then away. Thanks, he said quietly. Emma went to the bathroom. When she returned, Daniel was standing by the stove holding a small spoon. What are you doing? She asked, too quickly. Just stirring, he replied. She watched him pour hot water into the cup. He placed it on the table in front of her. Drink, he said. She did. And now, back in the present, Emma lay on the cold kitchen floor, her body weak, her breath shallow. Her mind replayed the past week over and over. The phone call, the paper bag, the spoon, the whisper, I poisoned you. Tears rolled down her face. From behind the locked bedroom door, Daniel slid down against the wall. His hands covered his face. His chest shook as he tried to breathe. This wasn't how it was supposed to go, he whispered to himself. He checked his phone. 12:31 a.m. Too late. Sirens sounded faintly in the distance, growing louder with every second. Daniel closed his eyes, and the truth, dark, twisted, and deadly, was finally coming out. Bright white light filled Emma's eyes. At first, she thought she was dreaming. The light hurt. The air smelled sharp and clean, nothing like her kitchen. A steady beeping sound echoed near her head, slow and steady, like a heartbeat that did not belong to her. Emma tried to move. Pain shot through her body. Her fingers twitched. Her lips were dry. When she opened her eyes again, blurry shapes slowly turned into faces, doctors, nurses, machines. "She's waking up," someone said. Emma swallowed. Her throat burned. "Where am I?" she whispered. "In the hospital," a nurse replied gently. "You're safe." Safe. The word felt strange. Her memory rushed back all at once. The tea, the whisper, the clock, the floor rushing up to meet her face. "My husband," Emma said, panic rising in her chest. "Daniel, he—" A doctor raised a hand. "Try to stay calm. You were poisoned, but you survived." Poisoned. The word hit harder than the pain. "How?" Emma asked weakly. "You're lucky," the doctor said. "The dose was strong, but something slowed it down in your body. Another medication you took earlier likely saved your life." Emma stared at the ceiling. 30 minutes. That was all that stood between her and death. Outside the room, 2 police officers waited. When the doctor nodded, they stepped inside. Their faces were serious, careful. "Emma Carter?" one asked. She nodded. "We need to ask you some questions about your husband." Her heart sank. "Where is he?" she asked. The officers exchanged a look. "He's in custody," the other officer said. "He didn't run. He waited." Emma closed her eyes. Part of her felt relief. Another part felt broken. The officers asked her everything. What she drank, what Daniel said, how he acted. Emma told them about the whisper, the shaking hands, the message on her phone. "I'm sorry." When they left, Emma finally cried. Hours passed. Later that morning, Emma's sister arrived. Her eyes were red from crying. She hugged Emma carefully, like she might break. "I knew something was wrong," her sister said softly. "I just didn't know it was this." Emma said nothing. Her mind was still trying to understand how the man she loved could poison her. Down the hall, Daniel sat alone in a small interview room. His hands were cuffed in front of him. His eyes were dark and tired, like he had not slept in days. A detective sat across from him. "Why?" the detective asked. "Why poison your own wife?" Daniel stared at the table. "I didn't want to kill her, I swear." The detective leaned forward. "But you knew it could." Daniel's jaw tightened. "They told me it would scare her, that it would send a message." "Who is they?" the detective asked. Daniel hesitated. Then he spoke. "I owe a lot of money," he said quietly. "More than I can pay back. I tried to fix it. I really did." He explained everything. Bad choices, risky deals, promises that turned into threats, men who did not take no as an answer. "They said if I didn't do what they asked, they would hurt her worse," Daniel whispered. The detective listened carefully. "So you poisoned her instead," he said. Daniel's voice broke. "I thought if I controlled it, if I told her, maybe I could save her." Back in her hospital room, Emma stared out the window. The sun was rising. Morning traffic moved like nothing had happened. A nurse entered quietly. "There's something else," she said. "We found something in your system." Emma turned toward her. "Another substance," the nurse continued. "Something that reacted with the poison. It slowed it down." Emma frowned. "What substance?" The nurse checked the chart. "A supplement. Herbal. Did your husband give it to you?" Emma's heart skipped. The brown paper bag. "Yes," she said slowly. "He said it was vitamins." The nurse nodded. "That's likely what saved you." Emma felt dizzy again. Daniel poisoned her, but he also saved her. The police returned later that day. They told Emma they found the bag, the spoon, and the remaining substance in the house. Everything matched. "We believe your husband planned the timing carefully, the 30-minute window." Emma shook her head. "He whispered it to me," she said, "like a warning." The officer nodded. "That may be the only reason you lived." That night, Emma could not sleep. Every beep of the machine reminded her she was still alive. Every shadow reminded her how close she came to dying. She wondered if Daniel ever truly loved her, or if fear had replaced love long before that night. In a holding cell nearby, Daniel lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His confession echoed in his mind. "I poisoned you." The words felt heavier now. He knew the truth was no longer hidden, and soon everyone would know just how dangerous secrets could be. Emma was released from the hospital 3 days later. Her body was weak, but her mind felt even heavier. Every step outside felt strange, like the world had moved forward while she had stopped. She did not go back to the house. The police said it was safer this way. Emma stayed with her sister in a small apartment across town. The place smelled like coffee and clean sheets, nothing like the quiet house where everything went wrong. At night, Emma could not sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard Daniel's whisper again. "I poisoned you." She wondered how long he had planned it. Days? Weeks? Months? The police continued their investigation. Detective Harris, a calm man with tired eyes, met Emma one afternoon. He sat across from her at the kitchen table, a folder in his hands. "We found more information about your husband," he said carefully. Emma nodded. "Tell me." Detective Harris opened the folder. Daniel got involved with a private investment group. At first, it looked legal, high returns, fast money. Emma listened quietly. "But it wasn't," he continued. "It was a trap. Once he was in, they owned him." Emma clenched her hands. "They threatened him," the detective said. "When he tried to leave, they demanded payment he couldn't afford." "And that's when they chose me," Emma said softly. The detective nodded. "They wanted leverage, something personal." Emma felt sick. "So poisoning me was their idea?" she asked. "Yes," the detective said. "But the way it was done, that was Daniel's choice." Emma looked away. Daniel had tried to control the poison, the timing, the warning, but he still did it. That night, Emma received a phone call from an unknown number. She stared at the screen. Her heart pounded. She answered slowly. "Hello?" Silence. Then a low voice spoke. "You're lucky. You weren't supposed to live." The call ended. Emma dropped the phone. Her sister rushed in. "What happened?" Emma could barely speak. "They know I'm alive." The police were called immediately. They traced the number, but it was already gone. The danger was not over. The next day, Daniel asked to speak with Emma. The request shocked her. "I don't know if I can," she told the detective. "You don't have to, but he says it's important." After hours of thinking, Emma agreed. They met in a secure room at the station. A thick glass wall separated them. Phones rested on each side. Daniel looked thinner, older. His eyes filled with regret the moment he saw her. "I never wanted to hurt you," he said quickly. Emma felt anger rise. "But you did," she replied. "You chose." Daniel nodded, tears falling. "I thought if I warned you, if I controlled the dose, I could protect you." Emma's voice broke. "You don't poison someone to protect them." Daniel lowered his head. "They're not done," he said quietly. "Those people, they won't stop." Emma froze. "What do you mean?" "They're watching," Daniel said. "They wanted proof. You surviving made things worse." Fear crawled into her chest. "What do they want now?" Emma asked. Daniel looked up, eyes full of panic. "They want silence." After the meeting, the police increased protection around Emma, but fear followed her everywhere. A black car parked outside the apartment one night. When the police arrived, it was gone. A note appeared on the windshield of her sister's car. This was a warning. Emma felt trapped. Daniel was transferred to a high-security unit. He was no longer useful to the group that threatened them, but Emma still was. One evening, Detective Harris visited again. "We believe they may try to approach you directly. They may offer you a deal." Emma laughed nervously. "What kind of deal?" "Your silence," he replied. "For your safety." Emma sat quietly. For the first time, she understood the full truth. Daniel's mistake did not end with poison. It opened a door that could not be closed. That night, Emma stood by the window, watching the street below. Every shadow looked suspicious. Every sound felt too loud. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number appeared. "You have 30 minutes to decide." Emma's blood ran cold. The same words. 30 minutes. Her hand shook as she read the next message. "Meet us, or this ends badly." Emma looked at the clock. The countdown had started again. And this time, there might be no one to save her. Emma stared at the phone. The message felt heavy, like it was burning through the screen. "You have 30 minutes to decide." Her hands trembled. Her breath came fast and shallow. The number on the screen meant nothing to her, but the words meant everything. 30 minutes. Those words had already almost killed her once. She checked the time. 9:12 p.m. Her sister was asleep in the next room. The apartment was quiet, peaceful, like danger had no right to enter. But Emma knew better now. She quickly typed back, "Who are you?" The reply came almost instantly. "You already know." Her heart pounded harder. "What do you want?" she wrote. There was a pause, long enough for fear to grow. Then the phone buzzed again. "Come alone, bring nothing. No police. If you do, someone you love will pay." Emma's stomach dropped. She thought of her sister sleeping only a few feet away. She thought of her parents. She thought of how close she had come to dying on a kitchen floor. She stood up quietly and went into the bathroom, locking the door behind her. She turned on the sink so no one could hear her breathing. Her reflection looked pale and tired, but her eyes were sharp now. She knew one thing. Running would not save her. Emma sent one final message. Where? An address appeared, a warehouse near the edge of town. She memorized it. Then she deleted the messages and slipped the phone into her pocket. Emma left a note on the kitchen counter. "I went for a walk. I'll be back soon." It was a lie, but it was kinder than the truth. The night air was cold as she stepped outside. Each step toward her car felt heavier than the last. The city lights blurred as she drove, her thoughts racing faster than the road beneath her tires. The warehouse stood alone, dark and quiet. One light burned above a side door. Emma parked and got out. Her heart felt like it might tear out of her chest. She checked the time. 9:38 p.m. She was early. The door opened slowly. Two men stepped out. Their faces were calm, too calm. "You're brave, or stupid." Emma said nothing. They led her inside. The warehouse smelled like oil and dust. A single chair sat in the center of the room. A table stood nearby with a small metal box on it. The men stepped back. "Sit," one said. Emma did. The taller man leaned forward. "Your husband caused us problems," he said. "You surviving made it worse." Emma swallowed. "Daniel is in prison." The man smiled slightly. "Yes, and he will stay there." "What do you want from me?" Emma asked. "Simple. Your silence. No interviews, no court statements, no talking." "And if I refuse?" she asked. The smile disappeared. The man tapped the metal box. "Then we finish what we started." Emma stared at the box. Her chest tightened. "You poisoned me," she said. "You almost killed me." The man shrugged. "You were never the target. Fear was." Emma's hands curled into fists. "You gave Daniel the poison," she said slowly. "But he gave me something else too. The vitamins." The men exchanged a look. Emma continued, her voice steady now. "You didn't know that would save me. You didn't plan for that." Silence filled the room. "You made a mistake, and now you're afraid." The taller man laughed. "You think you have power here?" Emma met his eyes. "I think you wouldn't be talking to me if you didn't." The man stepped closer. You have one choice." Emma closed her eyes for a moment. Then she spoke. "No." The room went still. The man's face hardened. "Then this ends tonight." He opened the metal box. Inside was a small glass vial. Emma's heart raced, but she did not move. You see, some lessons need to be repeated. Before he could take another step, sirens exploded outside. Red and blue lights flashed through the broken windows. The men froze. Police voices shouted orders. The door burst open. Detective Harris rushed in with officers behind him, guns raised. "Drop it!" he shouted. The vial shattered on the floor as the man raised his hands. Emma exhaled for the first time in minutes. Detective Harris rushed to her side. "You okay?" Emma nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I knew you'd follow me," she whispered. Harris nodded. "You left the note where we'd find it." The men were arrested. The warehouse was sealed. As Emma stepped outside, the cold air hit her again. But this time, it felt different. Lighter. The threat was over. Or so she hoped. Later that night, Emma sat alone, wrapped in a blanket. Detective Harris stood nearby. "It's done," he said. "They won't bother you again." Emma looked down at her hands. "All of this," she said softly, "because of one bad choice." Harris nodded. "And one brave one." Emma thought of Daniel, of love twisted by fear, of 30 minutes that changed her life forever. She looked at the clock on the wall. 10:12 p.m. The time meant nothing now. But she knew one thing. Surviving was only at the beginning, and the final truth was still waiting. The city slowly returned to normal. For everyone else, the case was over. The men were arrested, the threats stopped, the news moved on to something new. But for Emma, nothing felt normal anymore. She moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. It was quiet, clean, safe, or at least it looked that way. No creaking floors, no late-night whispers, no locked doors hiding secrets. Still, Emma slept with the lights on, every night. She woke up at the same time, almost without fail, 12:30 a.m., the moment her life had nearly ended. She would sit up in bed, heart racing, listening to the silence. Some nights she swore she could still hear the clock ticking from the old kitchen wall. Tick, tick, tick. Daniel's trial came quickly. Emma did not want to go, but Detective Harris told her it mattered. "Not just for the case," he said, "for you." The courtroom felt cold and empty when Emma walked in. Daniel sat at the table in an orange jumpsuit. He looked smaller than she remembered. Broken. When he saw her, his eyes filled with tears. Emma felt nothing. No love, no hate. Only distance. Daniel pleaded guilty. He admitted everything. The money, the threats, the poison, the warning. "I thought I could control it," he said, his voice shaking. "I thought 30 minutes would be enough." The judge looked at him for a long moment. "You do not control poison," the judge said calmly. "You do not control fear." Daniel was sentenced to many years in prison. As he was taken away, he turned back once. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Emma did not respond. Outside the courthouse, the sun felt too bright, too warm, like it was mocking how close she had come to death. Weeks passed. Emma started therapy. She started walking again, cooking again, living again. But something inside her had changed. She trusted no one easily now. She checked labels twice. She never drank anything she did not make herself. One afternoon, Detective Harris called her. "There's one more thing," he said. Emma felt a familiar tightness in her chest. "What?" "We found a letter," Harris said. "Daniel wrote it before the trial. He asked that you receive it after everything was finished." Emma hesitated. "What does it say?" "I don't know," Harris replied. "It's sealed." That night, Emma sat at her kitchen table, staring at the envelope. Her name was written on the front in Daniel's handwriting. She opened it slowly. Emma. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but there is something you should know." Her hands shook as she read. "The poison wasn't meant to kill you, but the men I worked with changed the plan at the last moment. They increased the dose." Emma's breath caught. "The only reason you lived was not the vitamins, it was timing." She frowned, confused. "I told you 30 minutes because that's when the poison should have fully hit. But I made one mistake. I gave you the tea too late." Emma's heart began to race. "If you had drunk it 10 minutes earlier, you wouldn't be here." Emma dropped the letter. Her body felt cold. It was not luck. It was not fate. It was a mistake. She survived because of 10 minutes. That night, Emma could not sleep. She stared at the clock on the wall. 12:20 a.m. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Her blood ran cold. Time still matters. Emma sat up slowly. Her heart pounded in her ears. She checked the locks, the windows. Everything was secure. Another message appeared. Not a threat, a reminder. Emma typed back with shaking hands. "Who is this?" The reply came seconds later. "Someone who learned the same lesson you did." Emma swallowed. "What lesson?" 3 dots appeared. Then the final message arrived. That life can change in 30 minutes. The phone went silent. Emma waited. Minutes passed. Nothing happened. Slowly, her breathing calmed. She walked to the kitchen and poured herself a glass of water. She held it up to the light. Clear, safe. She took a sip. Then another. Emma walked to the window and looked out at the city lights, people living their lives, unaware, trusting. She whispered softly, more to herself than anyone, "I'm still here." The clock ticked behind her. 12:30 a.m. This time, nothing happened, and Emma finally understood. The poison did not end her life, but it ended her innocence. Some people survive death, others survive the truth. Emma survived both.